I'm sure many of you who clicked on this video are familiar with Starbound, a 2D space exploration procedurally generated sandbox game. It's a mess, but it's a fun mess. Exploring a strange galaxy, meeting new friends, facing unique dangers. Well, how many of you are familiar with Starbound, a 2D turn-based space strategy game that has absolutely no relation to the Starbound we know and love other than its name? Yeah, that's what I thought. One night, I was browsing the Starbound subreddit, looking for cool fan art and builds to pleasure my eyes with. Then, I landed on this post. I'll admit, I get that this was likely intended as a joke, but as someone who loves retro gaming, it got me incredibly curious. Curious to the point where I started asking, what is this game? Is it any good? Is it worth spending the time and effort to make a video about it? Let's just dive right in and see what Starbound 94 is about.
Welcome to Starbound.
Imagine hearing that every single time you launch Starbound. Not this Starbound, the other one. This Starbound was developed by Joshua Grass and was released for Macintosh as shareware in 1994. As far as I know, this game is only available for Mac, so no MS-DOS or Windows version. As I mentioned in the beginning, Starbound 94 is a turn-based space strategy game where you conquer a sector of space one planet at a time, eliminating all opposition. Pick one of 6 races, each of which have their own strengths. Pick the number of computer-controlled opponents you want to go up against. Pick how smart they are, and pick how many star systems spawn into the game. Click begin, and off you go. Once you're into the game, things are actually pretty simple. You build a fleet of ships, colonize planets, fight off your opponents, conquer their planets, and that's it really. If you're thinking this might be a 4X game, hold that thought for a moment. This game does not have diplomacy. In other words, you cannot make friends with your opponents, nor is there any kind of diplomatic victory condition, or any victory condition other than total domination for that matter. Managing your planets boils down to moving a bunch of sliders around and sometimes landing your ships on them so their production increases, with the caveat of losing that ship. There is no real economy to manage. You don't have to worry about money or resources or what kinds of buildings a particular planet has. Planets passively improve their tech level over time, ultimately being able to build stronger ships and defenses. Also, they're always building ships. As soon as a new one is built, it's immediately off to the next one, no matter how long it takes for a ship to be built, no matter what those sliders are set to. Oh, and you cannot design ships. There are no unique techs or weapons, meaning that aside from each ship's stats, shield strength, weapon strength, how far their sensors can reach, and how much they can move per turn, all ships pretty much behave the same way. All those unique racial strengths I mentioned earlier, stat bonuses, that's it. Like I said a couple moments ago, Starbound 94 is not complicated. I'm not saying any of this is bad, just that that's what this game is. The more I thought about it, the more it reminded me of Strategic Conquest, not something like Master of Orion. I kinda went into this expecting a 4X, but it's not. It lacks the complexity and hallmarks of a typical Space 4X game, even for that time. But hey, at least it has ship battles. Starbound eats your heart out. I'm kidding, of course. All jokes aside, there is no player interaction during these sequences, and I imagine a fight between two powerful ships with massive stats can wind up with you sitting around for a couple of minutes, waiting for someone to win. I didn't get far enough into the game to see anything like that, but I'm sure such a thing is definitely popcorn worthy. Another thing I wish this game had was some form of multiplayer mode, but it's been almost 29 years, and I'm sure its developer has long since moved on to bigger and better things. In case you're wondering how I'm playing this, there's a website called system7.app. Essentially, it's a web-based Mac emulator, and Starbound 94 is one of the many games it includes. Seriously, there's some good stuff here. Warcraft 1 and 2, SimCity 2000, but now I'm getting off track. To answer a question I posed towards the beginning, is Starbound 94 any good? I managed to find a massive game-breaking glitch. Did you see that? That ship was nowhere near that planet, and it had no moves left. Yet, when I clicked on the planet it was previously adjacent to, that ship teleported over to the planet and landed on it. The game, despite saying the turn was over, would not let me progress beyond that point. Hey! 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 And of course I had no save to reload from. That's a shame because I was kinda having fun before that happened. Mind you, I lost count of the number of times I wanted to check a planet's production status, only to not realize that a ship in a hex adjacent to that planet was selected, with moves left. Obviously, clicking on a hex next to a selected ship moved the ship to that position. Player error or bad game design? In any case, I'm willing to forgive Starbound 94's faults and say it's pretty decent. Not anything special, just alright I guess. Believe it or not, Starbound 94 actually had a sequel that was released in 1999, Starbound 2. I may or may not get around to making a video about that eventually, but for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my quick look at this long-forgotten game. Please consider throwing money towards my Patreon and Ko-fi and doing all the typical supporting people on YouTube things. Links to those will be in the description, and I'll even drop a link to that Mac emulator I talked about earlier, in case you want to try out 0 out of 10, this Starbound has no floor, and take care of yourselves, and goodbye for now.